Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. This is our second exhibition night of the year. So we had one in, I guess, January, and so we do these every other month and alternate that with competitions on the other exhibition night first meetings of each month. I think we have 55, something like that, images tonight. 53 images tonight. So that's actually, I think, one of our higher submissions that we've had for exhibition nights in that. So it's fun. Also, I just in looking through some of the names and that, we've got some of our newer members that are participating in that. So it's good to see the engagement that we have, both from some of our longer term members, but also a lot of the new members that have signed up. So thank you again for doing that. What we'll do is, again, when we get to that point, is as the images come up, as your image and you see yours come up, feel free to raise your hand, or even from the audience that's on Zoom, we can bring you in on the sound, and just give a little bit of the story behind the image, maybe why you took it, if there's anything specific to it, as far as, again, the story behind it, what you were trying to capture, and whether you felt you were successful in doing so, and then any post-processing techniques that you might have used. And then from there, we'll go ahead and open it up to the audience that's here to go ahead and weigh in with any feedback, any suggestions. A lot of times you get a lot of compliments in there also, and so in that. So again, we just try and make it an interactive discussion and so forth on the photos that come up. So we'll get started on that here in a few minutes after a couple of other announcements. One is just as far as the upcoming events that we've got March 20th, so 2 weeks from tonight, Hummingbird Photography with Ben Evans, who's here tonight. So I don't know, I remember seeing some of his hummingbird images in a couple of our competitions that had done real well. So really looking forward to seeing or hearing about and learning some of the techniques that he uses to get those hummingbird images. They're really impressive. April 3rd, we have our next competition, and this one is a themed competition, and the themes are motion and leading lines. April 17th, we have a presentation with another Lone Tree member, Elaine Graves, on lighting. And then that's on April 17th, that's on the Wednesday night, and that will be followed a few days later on Saturday with a workshop on single light source photography with Elaine. So she'll do kind of the back-to-back, a little bit of preparation during the meeting that we have, and then actually a hands-on workshop. I'm going to follow up in here in a couple minutes with a few more details on the workshop part of it. May 1st, we have another exhibition night similar to what we're doing here tonight. And then on May 15th, we have wildlife photography with Lone Tree member Carino and Vice President Carino Zaragoza, who's also here tonight. So that's on May 15th. We've got other things that come up after that, but I just wanted to at least touch base on the ones that are here over the next few months. A couple of other things that are coming up in the area, and that there's a City of Lone Tree has this Friday night presentation on, and they've had these presentations go on. I think they have 4 of them all together on, they're actually specific to photography. It's called their Changemaker Speaker Series, and they have one this Friday called Through the Lens, Hidden Worlds with Jody Cobb. And I was looking through some of the information, and it does look really interesting in that. She's been photographing for over 4 decades. Couple of things. She was White House Photographer of the Year one year, and has had some features in National Geographic, including one that, at least at the time, had more reader accolades than any other story in National Geographic, and that was on global human trafficking. So that is this Friday night. I think it's 8 o'clock over at the Lone Tree Art Center. I just bought a ticket for tonight, even though I've got a real busy weekend, but really want to go see that. So there's still seats available for that. That's this Friday night. I think tickets are like $30, something like that. 30, 35, yeah.
Really? No.
I think that's maybe if you buy a series of them or whatever, but for one specific event, mine was 30, at least that's what it looked like it charged me. So yeah, $30. It was 30 to 35, I think, were the couple price points. Let's see here. I'll go through. Again, I mentioned earlier in that on Saturday, April 20th, Elaine will be doing a workshop on single light source. The class limit is 10, I think I saw out there. So a limited number of attendees, and that's so that people can do the hands-on here in this room and have enough room to spread out and do the lighting and so forth. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And topics that'll be covered will be principles of light, natural versus artificial, off-camera flash options and modifiers, techniques and settings, one light demo, and then if time permits, also some of the post-processing that she uses on her on those types of lighting images. And another one that we have coming up, and stay tuned, there will be more information that will come out on that. Still trying to work out some of the details, but Lone Tree member Darren White is going to be doing night photography workshops out on the Colorado Eastern Plains. And it's going to be September 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's not a single workshop of 3 nights, but rather it's 3 separate nights. You could sign up for 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, whatever you feel like doing. They're going to all be in different locations. So if you wanted to do multiple nights, you could sign up for, again, more than just one. But there is also just the 1 night option in there also in that. So I think that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that what that is? Okay. And again, more details will be coming out on that, but stay tuned. And so that's again out in September. But again, knowing Darren, I'm sure he picked a few nights in there that the skies are how I want to say that the moon and all the night, it's ideal for night photography, is guys what I'm trying to say there. So again, it's more details will be coming out here soon on that one. I think that was all I had. So with that, unless there's any questions, we'll go ahead and roll with I don't know that anybody, these are ribbons that I don't think we have anybody here tonight. I looked through them and I don't think we have anybody here tonight that are, thank you. So Jane will roll through. Thank you, Jane, for once again taking in all of the images and putting them to where we can see them.
All right, A Wedge of Geese. This is by Ben Evans.
Yeah, so I submitted a couple of images the first week of January. I went down to Bosque del Apache. Not sure if I'm saying that quite right. The wildlife refuge is a little bit more than an hour south of Albuquerque. And there's snow geese and sand springs. It was a lot of fun. Spent about 3 days down there. So this one was early in the morning, and there were still some really pretty light clouds. And gosh, you go down there just about every hour and a half or so, all the snow geese take off and fly around and then come back into the pond. So after 3 days, I started to kind of figure out the rhythm of what they were doing. Just had fun.
Yeah, I've been there one time for like 2 consecutive mornings, and when one flies, they all fly, right? I mean, it's like it's real noisy, and they're all there, and all of a sudden one decides to take off, and literally 30 seconds later, they're completely almost out of sight. It's pretty amazing scene to watch.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Just to see.
How did you figure your composition? Like, why did you get them all narrow? Where do you crop it, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that certainly was a challenge. Trying to figure out how to frame stuff out. And there are so many of them.
Did you have a wide angle lens?
I was trying to catch the sandhill cranes in flight.
Okay.
When they were doing this, so I actually had I think it was 200 millimeter on.
Okay.
Yeah, this just kind of happens.
Okay.
And there you are. So yeah, I wasn't sure about this photograph because I kind of liked it because I was there, but I wasn't sure how well it would play. And my primary concern was there's no real central point of focus.
And I have some that are similar to that, and I kind of struggled with that same thing, but like you said, when you're there and you remember the experience, you can remember the chaos, right? That is all going on right there. So, and to me, I think it expresses that, it shows it, but and I struggled with that too, as I tried different crops, trying to crop it into a handful of birds, which is so small versus really wide, where I did have some, wide ones, even out of like 50 millimeters, where you just see the same thing just spread out over a bigger period. But I like the shutter speed you use, and that you caught it nice and crisp, and that, which is sometimes hard to do when they're moving so fast in low light.
Have you thought about processing it in black and white and taking it more to an abstract sort of image?
I have not actually done that, no.
Strangest thought.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. The snow geese, of course, they're black and white already. But one of the things that really appealed to me about this particular picture was the color of the clouds and stuff in the background. And I don't know.
Yeah, they have some really unusual colors down there.
Yeah, I took a couple more, and there's one that's gonna come up here in a few minutes. Are all four of mine coming up one after the other
No,
here? or
they're-
They're
I've got-
spread out?
Yeah,
Okay,
spread out.
all right. I'll save it for when those come up.
It almost looks abstract that way from this distance, Okay, we're going to need to, in order to cover everything, we're going to need to move on to the next image.
Yeah.
But any other quick comments? Alien landscape, Bruce, Norman?
So a bunch of us, last year when we were doing the
Scavenger hunt?
scavenger hunt, thank you. A bunch of us went down to downtown, and this gal was there with the painted body, the alien painted body, and I just thought it'd be interesting to put it in an alien landscape. I was trying to, and I'm not an expert on this by any means, I was trying to like do a drop shadow on her to make it look more, of course, she's got high heels on, so that doesn't exactly look like it fits, but make it look more like if she was, and then I also did a color cast on her to make it look hopefully like more like she was getting the similar light, but just threw it in there for fun.
Which AI program?
Sorry.
Did,
Oh, which AI program?
do you,
I think I used one called, I can't remember, something night or something. There's a million of them. And a bunch of them will let you do a few for free.
No, that's clever. I remember that model. I was part of that group that we were up there and that's pretty impressive.
I would just change the lighting on her, where the
It looks
lighting
a
is
little
coming
bit
from the
bright.
right. Because on her, she's highlighted on the left. And the light is coming from the right. And then maybe have her shadow go out to the left also.
It's a two-side system. Yeah.
Autumn scene, Jeff, Wheeler?
Yeah, this is mine. I think this a few years ago, in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. I was in one of the valley parts of the park there, and just pulled over to the side of the road and just taking some scenes. This was, I mean, there was a good distance of just kind of valley in there, but I like the contrast of obviously the setting sun on the top and then the bottom with the shadow in the middle, but kind of go back and forth on the photo, but any comments would be great.
try it monochrome?
I did not.
I know you've got the color, but
Yeah.
And the colors up there look a lot closer than what we were looking at when we were doing our competitions previously and so forth. And that, it looks a little bit, like mine has like a little bit more color, I think, than like on my screen here than that, but we're a lot closer now than we were.
Blue gray tanager, Roger frame,
That's mine, and I submitted that because, I have a question on that. White strip that's coming in and the white, highlights with the, blue gray tanager. This was taken in Costa Rica in January. And, I tried to dim out that, the light streak up at the top. But if I, with a, what do you call it, the luminance, filter.
Mm.
But if I went much more than that, then it looked, real gray, so it didn't look good at all. And if I did too much, then what about that white spot? Right smack in the middle of the bird there. So I was, and then there's also some, on the twig going up and down, that white section in there. So I was wanting some recommendations on what to do about that. Or to say, well, okay, would have been a nice shot, but. So how do we go and deal with that problem with it?
Yeah, you can still fix it. You can use it in Photoshop. That AI program for that white spot on the upper left. Just circle that with a tool and use the AI generate, get rid of that.
Or just erase it, I think with
Right, yeah.
Photoshop.
You can try that too. If it doesn't work, like I said, I just use that AI generator and just get rid of that. And then same with that white spot on it right there on Photoshop, just use the object tool and just color in that white spot. And then the mask will just be on the white. And then you can use your adjustments to bring down the highlights.
Is that light coming in, like, that's natural light coming in and hitting the top of the bird's head?
Yeah, it's sunlight coming through the forest. Rainforest.
I think it looks
I
good.
like
to Crop
it,
it
yeah.
from the top too. You crop that top part out, it still looks good, I think.
Then you don't have quite as much of it. And then the light that is coming in, like some are saying that it doesn't look like it doesn't belong because that's consistent with the light that's hitting the bird. So it's not, I think it like Bruce was saying there, if you cropped it a little bit, it would take the hottest part of that out, right? The section that's right there at the very top.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if you crop it just below that, then the rest of it isn't quite as it's not as distracting. And it kind of shows that light coming in and it's consistent with what it's doing to the bird.
And there are a few different ways that you could remove that light in Photoshop, or the other thing that you could do is embrace it, and there are some techniques where you can create light rays in Photoshop that you could overlay with that to enhance that particular ray and make it a little bit longer and a little bit bigger, so that it looks much more intentional.
Answer some of your questions.
Might be learning that, as your, lighting class.
That's not typewriting. But I can show you how to create things of light.
Okay.
Can I just ask, the glow that's underneath the head and the chest, is that backlighting or is that chromatic aberration? What are you looking at?
Other side of the body.
Yeah, on the other side of the body.
Yeah.
Right.
And that can't, if it is a halo, you could do that. If it's a scratch.
Calm in the eye of the storm, Dave.
I submitted several pictures. This is the only one that's really of interest. I've taken people pictures a lot, and in the Louvre, it's just crazy. And I took long exposures and, those turn out bad, and I've taken a whole bunch of different types. And I ran into a guy, or there's an artist, his name is Pep Ventosa. And I didn't submit this for any competition because he has one of these Mona Lisa pictures. But what I did is I took a bunch of crowd photos. One was original to
just standing there with the Mona Lisa. And then I had about 7 different layers, all of just the crowd. So I took a bunch of photos and just took Mona Lisa out of there and just kind of very, very crudely kind of masked them out. And then what I did is I took each one of these layers and I took in Photoshop different blending modes. So what it really is like, one would be soft light at 80%, and the next one is multiply at 5%. And you know, like if you use a darken or a multiply, it has the effect of really boosting the contrast and saturation. So you can tell some of the blues and reds that are really outstanding, and there are definitely some of the multiply modes. But I took, you know, like I said, each single layer on this was a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. So, you know, some of the layers are only at 5% opacity, some are 10, some are 20, whatever. So I thought this was a really cool kind of technique because it's not a long exposure. You can actually see individuals, but the way it puts it all together, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's creative and it, yeah, it's, and then some of it is real sharp, but it's interesting too, a couple people holding their cell phones up and that looks nice and sharp. And the way that you did that with the rest of it, I like that effect. And I was trying to figure out, when I first looked at it, I was trying to figure out how you did it, was like something.
Yeah.
Exposure or
It took
whatever.
me about
Now that you describe it, but I wouldn't have guessed
It
that.
took me about 2 hours to figure out what the heck he was doing, so.
Does the Louvre know that Mona Lisa is crooked? We oughta like fix it.
It's just because I'm a bad photographer if it's crooked.
No, no, no. It's not up there straight.
Why didn't you drop down some of the top?
I wanted to have enough across the top. I mean, that wall is really weird. In fact, I cropped out 2 of the sconces that are on the side and some posters and stuff. But I wanted to have you know, the wall. And if I just cropped too high, it looked weird. But I wanted to have that creamy color all the way around it. But those are kind of true colors as to, you know, 2 or 3 background colors. And I actually have a really like wide one of these, just like a pano, and the final product just didn't look as cool. So I thought that a square crop was, you know, it's versions of squares and, you know, rectangles and stuff like that. So I thought this kind of crop was also.
So the inner rectangle is that green? Did you make it like that, or is that natural around the Mona Lisa? The dark green?
Yeah, no, that's, those are the true colors. That is what is there. It's just, it's really bland.
Because it faded over time, right?
Sure.
That's not a good thing.
Anyways, he also has these things where he takes like a picture every, like a tree, let's say a tree that's in the fall, you know, and he just like every 20 degrees will take a picture all around the tree. And then start blending, like I said, the first one's at 100%. And it's just a normal picture. The second one's 80%, it's soft light. The next one is, you know, screen. The next one's multiply, the next one. And then you can, on each one of the pictures that you do, you can, since the background is changing on something, you go around at 360, you can just, you know, mask out whatever you want. And so the effect is sort of like a tree, but it's just, you know, like crazy. It almost looks like it has Christmas lights on it or something like that. It's very, very abstract. So
What's the guy's name, Dave?
Pep Ventosa,
Pep?
PEP, yeah, Ventosa.
How'd you get the height in the photo? Like, how'd you get above all the people?
I guess it helps me in 6'5".
Sometimes.
That's real creative, and there were a couple good comments that said essentially to that effect over in the chat.
Carnival marshals, Bruce,
Oh. So Dave and I went down to Colorado Springs last Saturday for the Manitou Springs has this New Orleans style carnival parade. And the photo I should have put in was the one with the sign that says, keep Manitou Springs weird. Because that's what it's all about, is being weird. And so we took a bunch of, shallow depth of field photos of the people, and they're still kind of boring. So I again I made it this black and white and stuck in a jail behind these two guys who were standing on the street, acting like marshals. So it's a composite.
we did good with it.
Yeah.
Were they posing or you just?
Yeah, they posed for it, and
Okay.
we asked them to.
They look like they mean business.
They did. And then there was like 4 of them. There was
Yeah.
a gal and in fact, they had a little kid too. But I had a longer lens, so I was getting, I'd have had to back up half a block to get the whole group in.
Very nice.
Anyway, so if you like crazy, weird looking people, go down to Carnival next year and
Date.
Okay. Closing time, Tony?
Went down to Rhino a couple Saturdays ago. And just do a little street shooting. And this young lady was just packing up the clothes that she was selling. And I thought it was kind of getting the guys in the back, loading the car up. Rack still on the right.
It's good street photography.
It's fun. Is it too dark?
I don't know if it's too dark, it's almost too much contrast or.
It's, I mean, it's a little dark, but I don't know what too
Yeah.
dark is for like
Okay.
street, I mean,
You're definitely going for gritty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to say where to crop, like. You want it to obviously be, you're out on the street, how much do you include, this is why I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Did,
But
I'm sorry, was somebody else gonna say something?
no, it's okay.
Okay. Coco's Great Escape, Dave?
Yeah, okay, so this was me with the latest version of AI. I was just having fun. I really wanted to have a shot where like I had, you saw my picture last year. I in competition, I had the Statue of Liberty and I on purposely cut her face off halfway with a wall, and I said, is it Liberty? So I thought, hey, that's kind of fun. So I cut my daughter's dogs at the nose. And I wanted to have this concept of the stripe on her top of the head kind of blending into some sort of road. And I still, I'll probably do this with real photos, but this was just my playing around with AI. I mean, clearly, I think I said, French countryside road or whatever. And like Bruce did with the girl in Union Station, I'm kind of curious to see here, like what's your experience with different AI versions? Because the real dog is such a contrast to the trees and even the guy, even though I put a drop shadow behind him and whatever. I think this is kind of a poorly done photo, but it was just me kind of playing and trying to jump into AI in a little bit. And I'm just wondering, has anybody come up with AI that they like for, some are good at people, some are good at backgrounds, I've done a couple of photos where I've just filled in trees or foregrounds or, but when it's 3/4 of the picture, boy, I don't know,
that's a stroke. I play with it.
yeah.
And one of the struggles I have, how much image should be real
Yeah,
as opposed to, is the AI an enhancement to the image? Or is the AI the image?
Yeah.
And the photograph is an enhancement to the
and
AI?
as far as our club, we have very strict rules as to it's, the AI you have to use unless it's an AI competition. you're not allowed to have 3/4 of the
Right.
folks, you know. You can fill in little bits and pieces if it is what you could have done with cloning or whatever, but I'm just kind of, you know, has anybody found an AI program that they just really love or something, you know? And that's-
Well,
I've seen some product photography work with AI, that is like really cool, and most of them are using Midjourney.
Mid-Journey.
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen, and I've played around with it, but I have not.
Midjourney and Dolly 3 are the two most famous. They're most well known, but I follow this all the time because I belong to an AI group back at our community. But it's changing all the time. Night Cafe is the one that I used for mine, by the way, and it's pretty good, and you can do a number of them free, and if they give you free credits every day if you want to go to it. There's one called Magnifique that costs $30 a month, but it's incredible. Just look that one up if you're interested in this stuff.
And I've seen ones where, and what I have not done is experiment, because I haven't had time to do it, but experimented with putting something real into, and then use that as the background and have that, but I've seen people do it with them. There's a guy, John Gress, that does it with like pro sports figures in that, where he'll take a picture or the actual photo with 5 different lights of a professional football player or basketball player, and then he'll put them into a background scene that it's pretty amazing stuff, but he still is doing a lot of work on his, or doing a lot of professional lighting on the subject, and then using the AI thing for the background, but it's pretty amazing.
Dead Horse Point, Michael?
So yeah, this was, I was just out in Utah last week. That's the first time in a couple of years that I've been away with the camera for more than 24 hours, but was out there for a few days, out in the Moab area and that. So one evening, and you know, up at Dead Horse Point, there's the typical look where you get the kind of wider view and you get, other things in the foreground and actually this one I took with my Tamron 150 to 600 lens, fully zoomed in at 600, and then even from there cropped it in from that. But I was just trying to look like down into the valley area, down into the canyon, look for areas that had contrast and color, and the river kind of flows through the little part of it. So I didn't, obviously this doesn't have that kind of that horseshoe section that is usually in the photos. Got that one also in that, but I thought this one was just interesting, just kind of the way that the light was hitting different areas down in the bottom.
I don't know if the bottom half, because the river, I go follow the river, but the bottom half just kind of pulls me away. Maybe crop it up a little. Probably because the river's much lighter.
Yeah, and the river is lighter, and I like with luminosity masking, darken the river part of it a little bit, but it kind of becomes part of the subject, the kind of the little S curve that goes back in there. So, but yeah, it is the brighter part of the scene.
Deck 1, Kathy?
Yes, this is mine, and I'm new to taking pictures of ducks, so, I thought this was, interesting that I happened to have this, this duck in the sunspot, and I'm really looking for feedback. Whether or not it's just too bright. I thought it was kind of interesting and had some potential, but I would rather have the feedback now if it's not worth it, rather than go to competition and get a 6 or something. So really looking for ideas. One of the things that I had done is vignetted it very dark. So all you really saw was the duck and then the sun. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And all the specs, Darren, there's not dust bunnies. It was all the
Sun glare.
pollen and stuff on the water. And the water was very, very calm. So they just didn't move. So I just don't know if it works or not. I thought it was kind of interesting to have it smack in that sunspot.
Well, if you're in Lightroom, you turn on the little thing, it'll tell you if it's blown out or not.
No, it really isn't. I mean, that's kind of just the way it
Yeah,
came
that's
out.
right.
Yeah,
So if it's not blown out, it's not blown
yeah.
out. Typically, they tell you to get lowered to more even with the animal, but you've got it pointing right towards you. I think that's really good. It's kind of coming towards you.
Well, you know,
Big shadow too.
other than getting in the water, I mean, it was down, I could only kind of, yeah, and I've got another duck picture too. I think I was kneeling about as low as I could go and trying to really focus. But I guess I'm just saying, does it work? Is it too much? With all that sun, all that glare?
Yeah, for me, like I said, you're looking down on the top of his head. I'd rather see him more tilted down, where you're not so much coming down from the top of his head. And then, like I said, those little white dots in there. You could use the, in Photoshop, the background mask. And maybe bring the, exposure down. To bring down some of those white spots.
Uh-huh.
That's a good idea.
Well, as I said, just vignetting it all the way around and really blocking out most of the specs, I think helped. But I thought I'd just kind of show it as is and kind of go from there.
So Dave's the expert on this, but Dave, couldn't she like do a mask around the outside and then what is it, a combination of luminosity mask to select the dots and darken just the dots?
It's hard to do a range on luminosity in something like this. It really
If you
is.
start, if you start luminosity with the duck and the dark and the dots, you're gonna have a mess.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is like a combination, so you do an object mask around, just kind of draw it around the whole outside. And then intersect it with a luminosity or something where you're only darkening the, I don't know. I think there's a way to do
It's
it.
gotta be done. with-
Also too, on where the duck is dark. In the
Uh-huh.
shadow, I would just get the same thing in Photoshop. Just get a brush in there and cover all those dark areas right there with your brush. And then just bring up the shadows. So you get some of the more texture in those
Well,
dark
did-
areas.
did that on the neck, because I was trying to highlight the eye and then the neck, so bump that up a little bit, just with the masking.
I would do his whole body, that way you can see some of the feathers and things in the
Yeah.
shadows.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's look at the other duck. It's right next to it here.
Oh, good, yeah. And again, on this, I know, you know, it's always kind of the rule of thumb, don't take animals from the backside. But I just, you know, really liked how the feathers and then the reflection, and I thought, even though I'm taking it more from the backside, you can see enough of the face, I hope, to, you know, kind of compensate. But I just really, the water was so calm that I just really liked how the reflection came out.
I just hang out, and wait for him to turn around.
Pardon me?
I just wait for him to swim around and face you. You get a picture of the face swimming towards you.
And then, like in here, I don't know if your frame has any more room, like above and to the left, or then it's not, like, looking up, like, right out of the scene where it's, you know, where that, it's
More space. to
Give
go.
them more room.
more space over there.
Yeah, I think I cropped this. Yeah, I cropped it and I think I ended up cropping it because there were some other ducks.
Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of like, where do you cut them off? So,
But even with that, if you didn't have enough room, you can go into Photoshop and add more water to it without any ducks. So you can add more space on the left-hand side if you needed
well,
to.
I could probably get rid of the other duck.
Well, you could get rid of them, but
Yeah,
you just
I mean, just, you know, just
you
spread
just
it
add
out.
some more real
Yeah.
estate there.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on because we have a lot of pictures to go through and I want to give everybody an opportunity. So,
Good job being a taskmaster, just.
well, I want to give everybody the opportunity. Here's Emmett, Jeff Scott. Oh,
Hi, can you hear me? I'm on Zoom.
Yeah, we got you, Joe.
Oh, good. I've got two photos tonight of Emmett Cohn and his trio, which performed at the Newman Center at DU on February 3. Emmett's a New York-based jazz pianist and one of the best in the business. I knew he was coming, and I've watched him a fair amount on YouTube, so I sent him an email and I asked him if I could take some photos during their sound check before their performance, and he said yes, which surprised me. And so this is one of them, as he's talking to somebody in the audience, actually.
It's a very candid shot.
Yeah, this is a great environmental photo, artist in his work, great emotion on his face. The only thing I would try to do is a little shadow cleanup around his eyes and mouth. It's, and maybe a bigger vignette to darken down the background a little bit. Yeah, you definitely want to have the piano, but maybe not as prominent. But boy, I love the emotion on his face. It's, you can tell what he does, and it's a fantastic photo.
Thank you.
There's artifacts here on his back that you might want to try and get rid of. All of the House of Usher. Keith,
That's, yeah, mine, it was taken, Jackson, Mississippi, and that is a film image. I took it with a, Graflex 200 Model 22 TLR camera. It's shot on Tri-X 400, and I'm doing an ongoing series of abandoned buildings and such as that in the state of Mississippi, and usually about once a year go around for the Mississippi Heritage Trust photographing several of them. I kind of blurred the foreground and made the house more in focus. So.
I love that house. Man, I wish I'd go photograph that thing.
I'd lose some of the foreground.
That it's abandoned. Beautiful that.
Somebody else that it's just not lived in.
It
I would
is
prop it up a little
actually,
bit from the bottom.
Yeah.
okay. The home itself is actually in worse shape now. I have wanted to go back and photograph it again, but the entire porch and all on the left side is now gone.
Wow.
You'd have taken one step further, you would have been able to not have that tree intersect with the roof.
Yeah, the framing is really good, but yeah, to your point, there's just a few of that one little branch. Right.
Okay.
Feathered Friends.
This is one of mine. We were out doing some stuff at Cherry Creek State Park, and these two feathers were just floating on the lake. So I converted it to black and white and then cropped it, and just looking for some input on with the crop placement. So
Looks good, pretty detailed.
That's about perfect.
did you change the crop at all? Did you shift it anywhere?
I like it slightly off center like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has that rule of thirds thing that is working for it on it. And there's enough texture in the rest of there with the, the water, the way that the, I guess, ripples or whatever, and so forth, the way the light and shadows are hitting that kind of gives that rest of that scene some interest in that, but the feathers and then the reflection down that looks good.
Maybe just a hint of a vignette in there,
Just a little more vignette?
a little tiny.
I'd like to ask one thing. The shadows from the feathers are kind of cut off on the right side.
Okay.
Do you have, is your crop big enough where you can include
Yeah.
the terminus of those?
It's cropped quite a bit, so I have a ton of room.
Oh.
See the shadow of the feathers. It's a nice arc out to the right, bottom right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cut off at the end.
That's just the
But if you add that, then it's more. centered.
ripple, because those are ripples, right?
That's the shadow.
Yeah,
It's a shadow.
The bottom part is the ripples,
But
because the water.
Are you talking about the dark area going
yeah,
out?
around the.
Not the white area, the darker area?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, man, because the natural shadow would have a rounded edge or a
Right,
point,
right.
and it's just sliced.
I see what you're saying.
Hello, Tony?
This looks a lot worse on there than it did on my computer.
There's kind of like some bluish tone there or something. I mean, we straightened out most of the color and light issues and so forth with some adjustments there. Maybe
Yeah, the way it's still, it's time to talk about it.
there's some blue that's up in there that's not on the screen.
It did not come through at all.
Okay. Frozen leaves, Jeff?
That's neat.
Yeah, I took this probably a couple years ago as well, but I just found I just in this one little section, these leaves had frost on them, and I saw this, obviously the leaf there, or just I guess left of center, was placed here and amidst the chaos of the other leaves, and it just kind of drew my attention to just really the frost on the leaves and the kind of the change of the seasons. But I mean, these were all on the ground, just kind of looking for small scenes and within this patch, but yeah, I just really like the way that one leaf was placed among all the others.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time looking at all the shapes, color textures and colors.
Yeah, you gotta be careful where you walk, you don't even notice this stuff, but you look right down, you see it.
Did you play with the colors at all? Because I'm absolutely loving this color palette.
Yeah,
I mean, I can feel that this is cold and you got some blues in there. And then you're contrasting it with the yellows and warms. But I mean, they're just kind of really perfectly rich in here. And I just think this is a fantastic photo. So I was kind of wondering if you played with any tones or colors.
Yeah, I definitely, boosted a little bit of the vibrance, and then I boosted up the yellows in the photo here. But other than that, probably not too much.
That's great.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I love it. The only thing that distracts me is that one stem from the leaf at the top. And I don't know if you could darken that or clone it out.
On towards the left side.
Yeah, just above the main, the one that's the main subject that.
Oh, I know what you're saying, yeah.
See how bright that is? Yeah, right there.
Oh, I was thinking you're talking about the green.
No, well, that one too, but that one.
Hmm.
It's the one that really bugs me. But it's great. I love this.
Yeah, it's great. Oh,
Thank you.
Gaggle of 8, Ben?
The birds used to be sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe something happened when I exported this out of Lightroom.
Well,
they're still sharp.
Are they?
Yeah.
Did I not wear my glasses? Maybe that's.
That's great.
They're fairly sharp up there, I think.
Okay, so, again, all the photos that I got were from the same trip, and, these guys were just flying it, and again, I kind of like the background and all the different colors with the black and white bird is
The background is so busy.
too busy.
You know, I like that you have the background out of focus. That's really popping the birds a little bit, but normally I have, you can try to get the separation by not only the out of focus, but maybe saturation and, light and dark all at the same time. And you got the light birds in the darker background. I can see that you did that, but I'm just kind of wondering in my mind, since you're not going to be able to pull up the saturation in a black and white bird, I wonder if they would pop off the screen if the background was darker or saturated or something. I don't know. Just so much going on there.
Yeah,
I think the birds almost look 3D now.
I played with different crops on it too, and I didn't find anything that I was too happy with, but would most of you say that their cropping some more of the background out would also help?
It's just the background, there's a lot going on, a lot of colors there. You know, you got white tree back there, white birds. So they kind of blend in together.
It's sort of where that front group of 5 birds or whatever have a lot of the trees with a lot of things that are going on over there. The ones that are in the back, if you had all of that as part of your background, that's fine.
What you could try too is just go to Photoshop and pick background. And then just kind of blur it, take the clarity down,
Tone it down.
and then just make it where it's, the background's completely blurry. And then you can tone it down some more or make it darker where the birds stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Don't go too crazy. It's gotta look natural still.
Grubhub, Tamara,
The bird whisperer.
So, I took this in Nebraska, and it was in my mother's backyard. Yeah, just, the Wrens get really noisy when you come around and they're picking up food for their young, so I just thought it was interesting.
It's a great shot.
yeah, great detail.
Yeah, and
Great
the eye is like perfectly sharp. Yeah.
The only comment I would make is the post he's sitting on, maybe try to
Darken,
bring it down a little, it's a little bright.
yeah.
Darken that and the bird would really pop out on that, right?
But other than that, it's awesome. I want to.
Yeah, that's good. And the way the background just goes weird, I mean, whatever your depth of field was, you had plenty of room behind there it looks really good like that.
Help, Keith,
That is mine, and I shot it a couple years back as part of a domestic violence awareness campaign. The actually had 2 models that day. Both of them had been victims of domestic violence, and this girl actually took photos from her abuse and done her makeup to mimic the actual bruises and cuts from her first husband.
It's impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it looks like she's almost looking in fear to make sure that somebody's not coming. That really is impactful for sure.
Yeah, the fact that the eyes are looking away, not towards the camera, right, but looking over there, it's like as if you're wondering where those eyes are at with the.
Nice day.
Yeah, I think the use of the eyes is really interesting. You know, in normal model photos, you never want the eyes to be in one corner or another. You want to have the white of the eye seen all the way around, even if it's just a little bit. But in this particular case, since it's obviously a cry for help or whatever, it's just ups the drama quite a bit. So I actually think breaking the normal rules is really nice.
I enjoyed that cup of coffee. This is my picture. I was in Slovenia and I was wanting to do some street photography and captured this guy just at the moment he looked up at me. So he's sitting in there, that was his cup of coffee, and then you have the reflection of the street behind me on in the window, so it was through a glass window.
I don't want to.
I know.
That's what I was trying to figure out how you got that word, the translucent or whatever the term would be for that, but it looks good. I mean, yeah.
Everybody lined up.
So is he a reflection or is he?
No, he's in there.
Oh, okay.
He's in, and the reflection is the outside street, where's the,
Oh, so the cup of coffee is on the outside.
No, the cup of coffee is inside. It was closer to the
Oh,
window
I see.
and he was sitting back further.
It looks ghostly.
Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right. So,
Yeah.
but that's interesting. That creates that interest, that story.
And the line of the glass table, it's perfect from the corner.
Did you line up his head with the darker part of the reflection? Or was that just coincidence?
It was all coincidence.
Oh, okay. I was just like, wow.
I think it's really interesting. you know, reflections are really low hanging fruit and stuff, but the only thing I would say is, since the light on the coffee cup from the outside is a true outdoor white balance, he's obviously inside and it really is, you know, yellowish light, but he does look maybe like he has a little bit too much green
Miss
tint,
what?
Too much green?
too much green tint on him, maybe.
Skin tone.
I don't, and I'm not, I would play with versions to see if playing with the white balance on his face
Sure.
made a difference. It might be exactly what. It might be perfect, I don't know. I would just play with skin tones on that.
I also tried it in black and white and it looks pretty good.
I was gonna say, this might look really good in black and white. I think I'd like a black and white better
Yeah,
for that reason.
because
It just-
then you don't have that yellow over off to the one side here and,
Well, it kind of feels disconnected to me
yeah.
between,
But I mean, just pull a gradient filter down and then just do a white balance adjustment
Sure.
on the top just to see. And like I say, I'm not saying, you know, pulling some more blue into it would, or less green, or, you know, more magenta or more blue would make it a brilliant photo, but it's something you should probably experiment with. And like Bruce was saying, you know, or you were saying, if you're ever having questions about color, just take it out.
Yeah. I hear you. This is Dave.
Yeah, I've taken every picture of Budapest I can ever take. So my last trip, I was trying to do some back street Budapest stuff and they have a whole bunch of buildings that were, you know, built around the turn of the century that were bombed in the war, World War II. And so they're ruined buildings. And although they look okay on the outside sometimes, they can be, you know, actually ruined buildings. And the Hungarians had some really interesting architects. And this is just on a staircase in a ruined building. And this glass, you know, the window had not been blown out. So you're getting the purples coming through from the stained glass. And I tried to get further back, but this was down a staircase. So I'm standing on a staircase with my camera against the wall with a 15mm lens. And I couldn't, I mean, it's only about 4 feet from where back of my camera is to this first, you know, opening. And you can see in shadow that like dark thing on the right is actually a twisted column. And then you go down and you turn the corner going down a set of staircases. I guess, you know, is this kind of like old building stuff of interest? I was kind of wondering, you know, I've got a little bit of shadow detail in the front. I got a little shadow detail between the outside looking ear and the wall, but I wasn't sure if I should have that much detail. You know, I'm just kind of, is this kind of photo even of interest? And if it is, how much shadow detail should I really have, you know?
I think it's interesting, it's framed interesting.
like a PD pad.
Yeah.
Got the right title on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
exactly what I thought of when I saw it.
Yeah, I like to see a little more shadow detail.
I agree. I think you don't want any less, for sure.
This is mine.
It's too early.
And I took this in Churchill. But I did AI the snow.
Really?
Hmm.
What do you mean by that?
What was he laid on?
Grass.
Just grass.
Yeah, up here. You know, up there.
He was laying in the grass in the zoo.
I just thought it was a cute photo and I'm working with my processing skills, so.
And she's doing great.
Not really, but.
You know, try and bring up, at least for me, I try and bring up even more shadow detail on the face.
Okay.
I would try to tone this down a little up here.
What kind of gun did you shoot him with?
Really? That's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
So contrasty.
Yeah.
It's really.
Have you tried it in black and white?
I haven't.
Kind of blue. This is my picture. Not much to say,
Do you like the?
Oregon,
Oregon, yeah.
Do you like the bubbles on the bottom?
Pretty.
I mean, I wonder if you bring up the crop. But then I guess you would cut off that stack of them.
Mhm.
Big man.
Okay, never mind.
You recent.
Darren, when you do these, do you take some of the bubbles out or the,
I do, yeah. I either, well, it's hard because sometimes the bubbles are going back towards the ocean because they're left over from a wave that has come in. So depending on how many there are, where they're located, I'll either remove them or I'll just try to find a composition where I can put them into the scene. Yeah, something like this, I may play around with just trying to remove them, just trying to get a little cleaner in that corner.
And for those of us in the room, it's really blue on that screen.
Yeah,
It's not that blue.
Yeah, I don't, right, this is the second image tonight Tony's was the one earlier than that, for whatever reason, it's just been a couple of them that have been
it's
a lot more
yeah,
blue up there.
that blue.
It's not consistent across all of the images, it's just been these two, but yeah, on my screen here, it's not.
That's the blue.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
it's more purple on the screen.
yeah.
Would you crop it down a little bit?
No,
No,
personally for me, I wouldn't want to lose the reflection.
no, from the sky,
The sky, the top part. Yeah.
No, probably not.
no?
No. Because then it puts too much of an emphasis on the bottom part, and the bottom part's not a clean reflection because there's still some ripples in the water.
Gotcha.
And you want your eye to focus on the rocks that are in focus and clean, and then let them drift down to the reflection.
Okay.
Lesser violet ear hummingbird, Roger.
This was Costa Rica again. One of the interesting things on this violet-eared hummingbird is the ear area is the same color as the flowers, which I thought was really interesting.
do you happen to know, how quickly, what your shutter speed was? I mean,
I would guess around 1/2000th.
like the blur,
Maybe take this
Go flash would be good.
stem right here out a little bit. It kind of protrudes into there.
Let's see more of that tape.
Find someone distracting.
what I was gonna say is sometimes when you might wanna try a version, and like I said, again, I don't know if it would work or not. But I do like the saturation of the green, but when it's this neon green, sometimes just taking the magenta slider, pushing it from green to magenta, takes a green neon to a more of a normal green color. Now, whether you would, you might have to do take the bird out of the background to do that kind of a color adjustment, but I like the saturation, but I think you could make it a more, well, I've been to Costa Rica, it is that color. I'm not saying it's not that color,
Yeah.
but you can tone it down and still have high saturation by just fooling with the magentas. And which would actually add to the color of the bird and the flowers. Just as a version.
Yeah, I like the beautiful colors, but I also like at least getting one eye in the picture.
Nature doesn't always cooperate.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Never heard of it.
It's a great bird.
Les,
Beautiful birds.
Matma,
That's
Roger.
Yep, that's mine as well. And I didn't modify the colors at all. This is in the rainforest, and that I'm wondering, is it a little yellowish on it, although that is the color that it was, but then how it do it. And one of the things that I think that's interesting with this motmot bird is that just to the lower left of the eye, you see almost another beak, but it's part of the feathers. So it looks like there's two beaks on it. Oh, yeah.
Right.
But that's sort of a camouflage kind of thing. That's going on.
Is there another bird that's out of focus on the edge?
Where
Oh, you see how it has the same color pattern on the right edge?
I don't think so, no.
Very camouflaged in there.
Yeah, I think that's blue sky on the,
Oh,
It's kind of taking me out of the picture at that point. I would try to make that greener or less saturated because I go from the bird to that piece of blue because and back and forth and it's.
So try to just crop it down or in a little
You
bit.
could, I like the way, I like where it's positioned in terms of composition currently. Just would try to do something with those little blue dots over there on the top right. And maybe the bottom right as well, tone down that whitish thing.
And you'd be surprised with that magic erase tool does in Photoshop. You could take that stick right out of the center of that bird and it'll copy the back of that bird. And even there underneath his beak, you could take that out too and clean that up. And you'd have the whole bird by himself. And then you do a background in the Lightroom and then kind of tone down the back a little bit where he stands out. Or even use a gradient tool and then just invert it. And then you'll have a vignette around the bird.
So have a circular gradient.
Yes. Or oblong, the length of the bird.
Yeah.
It just needs darkening down a little bit over here on the left.
Yep.
But you got the eye in focus. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
And the colors are spectacular. That's, beautiful bird.
Mesa Arch View, Michael?
Oh, wow.
So I mentioned I was in Utah last week. So I did a lot of other shots earlier in the morning, kind of down over there by where the arches or whatever that. And as I was walking out, I looked back and it's not a competition image or anything like that. But I just thought it was kind of interesting to see that scene. And you can see that a few people that are there that were kind of meandering around or whatever. But I just wanted to kind of capture something that was a little bit different than what the normal scene and the other ones that I got that morning. But you can still see there, even as I'm walking on, you still have a little bit of that orange glow that's hitting up on the top part of that arch. So it still stands out, but my objective wasn't so much to get the arch, but just kind of get the picture of the wider scene. And
That's the first place my eye went to was the arch.
yeah, the orange thing that's the orange part that's up on the underside of the arch itself. Sort of gets the eye to go there, but and again, it's a pretty wide scene, and I get that it's not something that is like I say necessarily a competition type image, but just kind of more of the story of as I was leaving there, looking back and taking something a little bit different.
Would you gain anything by opening up the shadows in the foreground? A little bit?
Yeah, they look a little bit brighter in here than on that one, but yeah, maybe I could do a little bit more.
Is that a person?
There's a person,
On the left?
there's two
There's
people on
one
the
here.
far left, and there's a
Two
person
over
right there.
Yeah.
Then on my screen here, it looks a little bit, you kind of see where
Got it.
they stand out a little bit more here. Like I said, the shadows are a little bit brighter here than they are up on that screen. Yeah, and again, part of what I was doing here is I could take them out of there and so forth and that, but it was more the story of when you're at this location, there's generally gonna be people there, and there were, so I left it.
You're lucky there were only that few people.
Yeah, there were a couple hundred when I was there.
It wasn't all right. There were only myself and one other person with a tripod earlier.
Oh my goodness. When I've been there, there've been a ton of people. No, so.
Haven't been there.
February.
You go in the winter time.
My good side, yeah.
Let me make a comment on, if you're going to that arch, that we found that about a half an hour after the arch is lit up, there's a little pothole about this big off to the right of it that then goes and starts glowing up too. And so if you stick around, after everybody's left, that can be a pretty neat shot.
My good side, Tamara.
So I took this picture at Kettering Park and it was during a snowstorm. just caught that gull coming towards me.
Yeah, that's nice and crisp, yeah. And I like so this was during the snowstorm, so you get sort of that high key, but even though there's a lot of white in the birds, it still really stands out against that background.
Old violin, Keith?
This image was taken up in the Mississippi Delta in an old abandoned plantation home. And when I saw the violin sitting in the case, it brought to my mind the words of an old Johnny Paycheck song by the same title, Old Violin. And part of those lyrics says that you're about to be put away and never played again. And that's what I was trying to achieve with this image.
So it was just an abandoned home, just.
This is actually a home that has been restored that you can go through, tour, or either stay in as a bed and breakfast. So it's the Belmont Plantation in Wayside, Mississippi.
Well, I just think if there's a light colored pillows in the background on the upper right.
Uh-huh.
Maybe just tone those down a little bit, because they're pretty bright. As you can avoid.
Yeah, or you can and the concept in the real shallow that you live in that where it's, I mean, to the point where it's like the focus is right where those red parts of the strings attached to the that part, but as close as that is, those pins that are on the board across the front, that you got it where it's like those are out of focus, but then it's it's got, I don't know what your aperture was, but way down. Brings an interesting effect.
I like that, you're telling a story a little bit with the couch, but I'm not sure you need as much of the couch in the background.
Okay.
Especially since it's associated with the maybe white windows there that kind of pull you out of the picture, you know? So if you crop down a little bit, included some of the story, but not as much, that might help a little bit. But in terms of the composition on the violin, I like that it's at an angle because it kind of adds motion or energy to the photo. And as other people have already commented, I love the really shallow depth of field.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
Out of line, Daniel? You want to comments on it?
I like his title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. How they cut that one, and then at least it's separated from the ones beside it, right? Where there's no crossover points.
Definitely tells that story.
And based on the muted color, probably look better in black and white. This is the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, broken pattern is really cool.
Pink sunrise, Ben?
No, this was one morning. It's actually just a few minutes before the sun actually came up, and they looked like flamingos. Everything was electric pink. Kind of like we talked about with the first one. I wasn't sure where to focus or how to center your attention somewhere, but the color was just incredible, and
Yeah.
it was also incredibly cold. I was actually shaking.
It's cold down there.
Yeah.
I like the layers.
And the cast of that sky down on the bird.
Yeah, nice colors. Yeah, in terms of the layers, it's classic leading you through the frame with a light, dark, you know, alternating back and forth. So that's, you know, it's classic way to, I don't know if you're doing dodge and burn on this, but that's classical, you know, way to lead you through the frame.
I did burn on the birds themselves to try and bring that up and accentuate with the black above it.
I think for me, I think the log is just a little distracting.
That's it.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't really lose the shot if you cut that off or cropped it. You don't really lose much of the shadows of the birds are still.
You can erase that log and not lose anything.
And that's true too.
Yeah, we have some of the grass. Okay, thank you.
Papa Joy, camera.
So I took this picture at Stern Park. There's a little garden area to the west. And they had cosmos blooming. So I wanted to catch the color of the cosmos behind for the backdrop of the bird. Just wish the seed or the flower was a little bit more attractive, but they picked that clean.
It looks pretty sharp. Yeah.
Looks great.
That the eyes, where the eye kind of seems close.
Yeah.
And having the color. So this is over at Stern Park over on, it's in Stern Park. It's not over at that Rose Garden thing.
It's
over there.
just west of the Rose Garden. There's a community garden there.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then like on these two, easy vignette is just, like I said, the gradient tool, make a oval, invert it, and then you can make a little vignette with the bird in the middle.
Okay.
Bring down the background a little bit.
That's actually, I didn't even do anything with the background. It's how it came out.
And it's nice having the color, but yeah, you can, like you said, you can kind of
Bring it down a little
bring
bit.
it down, bring the light to the bird, and then you can even
Highlights the bird.
if you wanted to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But the shallow depth of field works good. There's not a distraction in it from the standpoint of too much detail in the background.
So do you happen to know how many millimeters? Like, is that a 200 or a?
I think it was a 300. They were fairly close.
Very nice bouquet.
Yeah.
What time of year was it? It was late summer, when the cosmos and those sunflowers are, the birds are picking at the sunflower seeds and.
I like the light in his eye. You know.
Yeah, it was a catch line.
Queen of Hearts, Dave.
Yeah, Bruce and I, like I said, we were in Manitou. This was just an experiment because Bruce had a 135, 1.8, I had a f2. And so I get really intimidated shooting wide open, especially with portrait things. So this was kind of just an experiment. Event photos are really difficult because of the background, and that's why Bruce put his own background into the Cowboys, because it was right out in the middle of the street. And I tried to get this woman away from as much traffic as possible, but you could still see the cars in the background. And even though I darkened it down and desaturated the curbs and everything else, it's just an average photo. But especially since she's out in the sunlight and it's so contrasty. But if anybody has some brilliant ideas of how you shoot event photography, I would be all.
So you didn't want to go with what was your aperture?
F2.
There was F2 on this?
Yep.
A lot of times to get rid of that background back there, I'll just use a gradient tool and then use the subtraction where I subtract the subject. And then I just either darken the back or blur it, or it enables me to change that whole background.
Yeah. Well, I spent a while with radial filters on every single car that was back there, and I took the background and I took her away from it and I darkened it, and then I did a gradient from the bottom up so that I had the cement wasn't, like I said, it wasn't as bright from bottom to top. I'm trying to get her to highlight right in the middle from her waist on up, but then that highlighted that yellow curb, which was bright yellow. So I put another, filter on it to bring it down, but still running into event photography with terrible backgrounds is.
I think you did a great job. I mean, you're definitely just drawn to her, and you're not really looking at much else.
Erase the white car.
Yeah, no shit.
Erase it. Just on Photoshop and you can erase it. Heals it.
What would it look like in black and white? And then you don't have to worry about the background so much. Would it kind of defeat the?
I still think that car would be a problem.
Oh, Dave, you've got skills in that car. Come on.
You're cloning her out. The white.
Thank you. You can move on.
There's enough texture there.
Rocky Mountain Ripples, Bruce?
Yeah, this is the sunset. I took it last year, and so I thought I'd crop it to look like a panel. And I just like the layers, but I'm not sure if there's enough sky, too much sky, if the shading's good. I'm just looking for some input.
Yeah, and each layer is very distinct. I mean, you can see
Yeah, there's like 7 layers or something.
yeah, there's many of them and they all stand out from one another.
The only comment I have is
Yes, yeah.
on the upper left-hand corner where that dark cloud is,
Yeah,
I would
Break
pop
that
the
out.
cloud on the right side and clone it over or do something. Because I think that one dark corner just kind of,
Hold you away.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
And Cameron brought up that there's that one little white spot.
Yeah.
There's
saw
more
that.
than.
I think that was is that's a home out there, you know, it's
Right.
windows or something. So, but yeah, it is. It looks like a dust bunny. Daring me all over that.
yeah.
No, that's the opposite of a dust bunny. Dust bunnies are black.
I'd like to see a little bit more sky, just a hair more.
It's a little more.
Yeah. It's a beautiful sky. You know,
Okay, thank you.
Nice shot, Bruce.
Salsify 41. Bruce?
Yeah, this is mine. I collect and photograph salsifies
What is it?
by the dozens. No, I for some reason, I really like these
Oh,
things. and
dandelion.
What
I
did you call
photograph them tons of times. Sorry?
What did you call it? A salsa?
It's like a giant dandelion. It's called
The
a
large ones, I know. what you're talking
Western
about.
salsify.
Oh,
It,
okay.
they grow around here. A giant seed pod about this big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And you collect them?
Well,
Or you just photograph them?
I pick them and photograph. I don't collect them to collect them. No, I just collect them to
Okay.
pictures of.
photograph.
Yeah, I got
So
it.
what's your yard looking like, you know?
You put a black background behind this one then?
Yes, I did.
I like it. I mean, it's really.
Yeah.
So you don't take them in the field and just leave them?
No, I think no,
You bring them
I
back.
pick them and.
Bring them
take-
back, so you-
take 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them, actually, one of them, I picked it. Well, it was still green. And then I took it home and I peeled the thing off. I was gonna photograph it. And then went down the next morning, it had opened up
Wow.
halfway. So it's the only one I've ever seen like that. It's like halfway open as opposed to the whole. Anyway, they're fun to play with.
I like the lines in it a lot and the contrast. Do you ever take multiple images to focus stack it? Or do you always have some areas that are slightly out of focus?
Yeah, I've never tried, it was like,
Because if you're doing it in your home in a controlled environment, it would be fairly easy to do rather than out.
I might try that. It's a big thing. It'd be a lot of movement to focus it all. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it would look. Obviously, you crop it and move it around to try and get parts in focus you want.
Sandhill Crane, Ben?
Yeah, so just the single crane, and I was trying to get some background in it, so it wasn't just plain blue sky. And I was just having fun. There are thousands of them down there. I spent hours just trying to catch one in flight.
Well, you did.
I'd say you did good. You got
Above
it's above the tree line, and yet you can see that there's Snowy Mountain behind it, and yet it's sharp, and that's really good. I'd say
Yeah, I like the wings.
maybe a little more room to fly into, but
Very nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't submit it for competition though.
okay.
Saturday night plans, Tony?
Yeah, it was my photo walk through Rhino. This alley, and this guy came walking down talking on his phone. And this was probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it was early evening. So you could picture that in an hour or two. Filled with people. just getting ready for Saturday night.
You could do Dave's technique.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
You take this shot here and then don't move the camera. And then take one picture every like 30 seconds or whatever, and then do like what Dave did. That could kind of be a really fun.
I like the line of tables. I don't want to see
Oh yeah, no,
600 heads.
right, but through the opacity blending and by changing your opacity, you could actually keep the line of tables, and you could maybe just have people on the edges, because you'd have this one shot.
Then I gotta come up with a new title.
But it'd be in the picture.
I did have to mess around with this crop because
It's a great shot.
the way I had it, the front table, there's a rope, the side rope, and you couldn't get the front bench or the seat
So,
for that front table.
so is this area actually closed off until they open up?
Yes,
Oh, okay, so that's how you got it without the people.
yes.
Gotcha.
But I mean, and it looks really good here,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit sharper, but I mean, really sharp, and the contrast is all good. Your eyes definitely go to the subject over there. And to your point, I do like the way that those tables are all.
Yeah.
But the details on all the buildings and the lights and all that, it's really.
I got the focus all the way through, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I mean, the front table is in focus and stuff way back in there. It's nice.
It was f7.1, focused in about the middle.
Okay.
Very nice.
Do you use Silver FX Pro on that?
I do.
That's good.
I like the leading line and the repetition and it took me a while to discover the person. So I always like photos that are more interesting when you have a discovery after looking at it for a little bit. So yeah, it's great.
Savoring the Morning Light, Tamara?
This was at Chatfield in the spring, and I was laying on my belly taking this picture.
True bird.
Like that there's really no tangency of the birds. They're all separate, even if it's very close. Plus you got the kind of rule of odds, and it's really well done.
Like the detail of the white. You see all the feathers.
Yeah, Bruce, you should have picked a feather from one of those and put it in, so you'd have had 3 feathers in your earlier photo.
And
Rule of odds.
And time of day, was this like really early in the morning? Because it's a nice soft light. I mean, you got this like in the middle of the day, it wouldn't look anywhere near as the color tones are all real nice.
Looks good.
I think with the lights that they're not blown out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the subdued colors, but just for grids, you might want to try a version where you just go down the HSL panel and just grab the little dot there on the side and put it in the water and just see if you drag the saturation over to be really purple, if it would contrast better, if the blue yellow contrast or color combination, it probably wouldn't be as good as this, because one of the reasons I like it is the subdued colors, but just for grids, it doesn't ever hurt to try one version where you just really try to pump up the color theory a little bit just for fun.
Okay.
And this one too, I think a vignette would really make them pop out.
Good.
Staying out of the surf. Bruce?
We went to Florissant Lakeshore.
Shore Acres
Shore Acres.
State
And
Park.
it was a big storm and the waves, I mean, those waves probably, Darren, 100 feet in the air.
Probably.
Oh, no.
It's just phenomenal. Anyway, I'm trying to capture the emotion here, and it is color, but it's very muted with gray and stuff. So I'm just kind of asking for if it catches it, more would be less.
Well, I wouldn't want to be standing there.
When those waves hit that rock,
and they go up, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Your
and you can
your body shakes.
You can see the energy in it.
Kind of looks like a dragon.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool to see, huh?
And that's not even one of the biggest ones.
That would be.
Yeah.
Are you shooting from the spot where you can see the people standing over there?
We were, but there were no people.
Oh, there were no people
And
there.
but, have you been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the person who's standing there, they have no chance of getting wet.
No, I know, but
It's just a complete optical illusion.
Really?
But yeah, we were at the visitor, or the little hut thing there.
Where is this at?
Shore Acre State Park in Southern Oregon.
Oh.
But you have to go at the right time because otherwise it's very uneventful. I mean, otherwise you just get water kind of like lapping up and hitting the rock and nothing's happening. But the day we were there, we had a massive incoming tide. There was a storm out in the Pacific, and the waves were just shooting hundreds of feet in the air. It was crazy.
What's the right time of year?
Usually in the fall when the have higher tides and you got storms out on the Pacific.
Oh.
I mean, you can see the waves crash over the rocks any time of the year, but to really see it, you got to go at the right time.
And I'll just add, as the former chief of Coast Guard operations in this area, don't get too close.
Yeah.
They actually were flying that helicopter back and forth out there when we were watching
Yeah.
this. He was going back and forth. Is that what you were doing? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
They
Full
patrolled
technical
it.
service.
Because we were looking at that and if somebody went down in there, it's like, you're done, you're done.
Right.
Thousands of tons of water. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, good shutter speed to capture the water.
And the white, you got detail on the water was great.
Storms are coming, Tony.
This is at Canyonlands, and I just like the storm coming in from the west and late afternoon.
Maybe a little less foreground.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
That you're wanting us to
That's
look at
right,
the
yeah.
sea level and stuff. It's got-
Yeah, but everything, like I said, if you took off like the little lower part, everything from that point up is pretty amazing.
Good depth, good shading.
That those clouds, like that.
Yeah.
Clouds are kind of cool.
Yeah. and really-
Sunrise standoff. I had gotten the new Nikon, the 180 to 600 lens, and I was out looking for some opportunities to take a picture, and I saw this, the first one was just sitting on the fence there. And then all of a sudden, second one came and it was just, they had their little squabble. Anyway, my concern was that my depth of field was very shallow. As you could see, the first one's in his focus and just the head of the top one. And if that bothers people that way.
No,
Height reaction is perfect, yeah.
It
You
was
might-
just luck.
You might want to get rid of that little push button. Down
Yeah.
on the bottom of the pencil left corner. The pine needles are fine.
Yeah, because those are nice and it kind of gives you that perspective of where the
Yeah, because I wanted to, show how small they are with.
That's really cool.
If you really want to go crazy, get the magic erase tool and you could take the fence off of there. Or you just have the birds in air.
No, I
Right.
Fence.
Whoa.
I like the fence.
I like Chris in a racing mood.
The reason I say keep the fence is I think it adds a sense of place to the image.
Yeah, it anchors the image.
Like the fence.
He's lined up. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
This is Sunset Race. This is mine. I know the balance is off with the rock on the right and nothing on the left. I thought about cloning a rock in over there, but I cropped it quite a bit just so, I don't know, just so that
The way it goes from the left to the right, even, and it just kind of feeds in, even though there's nothing on the left, but the way the clouds are and everything, it just directs you right back to that rock wall.
Is it level? Is the horizon level?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes the clouds really can make it an optical illusion.
Right.
It's
You
What'd
do
you
with
say?
water lines back there, it's level.
He asked if it was level, and I said sometimes the clouds that are way in the distance can create an optical illusion because,
Oh,
Because this you would,
No, it's
because
not.
it's.
yeah,
It's too- yeah.
that's beautiful, Jane.
Yeah,
It is.
I wouldn't enter it either.
I wouldn't show that to anybody.
Takeoff by Daniel.
It looks like you might be a little out of focus.
Yeah.
Is that me?
No, it's on focus.
I can't tell if it's a motion or if that's just motion blur, meaning not a shut, that's a shutter speed or.
The grass on this computer screen looks sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah, the focus point is over here.
yeah, I think you're right.
But this is out of focus.
So
This is motion. You're right there.
Right.
Just missed it
It's
slightly.
good action, it's just,
Yeah.
I'd crop out that, I see no need for the sky, for the hills in the background.
Yeah.
Absolutely no need.
Background.
Cut it off, right? Cut it off. Would you cut it off just with a little bit of sky or even just
I think the bird, the water and the grass is the image.
the band? Jeff?
This was the Emmett Cohn Trio at DU. And I wanted to get the band as a whole and also show Emmett, who is facing his bandmates, and then the background lights in the beautiful Gates Concert Hall. So I stood behind the band and I had the 14-30 lens on, and I think that worked pretty well. What's interesting about this photo to me is that there was a pile of equipment cases and coats, I think, right in the center of the picture in the foreground, close to the camera. And the bassist's legs were covered up by this pile of stuff. And regenerative AI in Luminar Neo did a nice job of legs on him, and also insert that drum in the center is not reality. And yet it looks real.
It's a little
Not in
funky
the drummer's reach.
on the bottom, it looks like. But once you mention it, then you do see it. But your 14-30, the way you used it, you don't have any distortion on the edges, even with as you go back into the theater. Just a good job on that.
But that added drum is not even within the drummer's reach.
No,
It's not real.
Oh,
Oh, I see. Right here.
Maybe the bassist did it.
Okay.
These are his foot.
It's,
Taps on it.
Expression on the piano.
but, yeah.
The drummer gets my eye just because he's so bright.
Mhm.
Take him down a little bit.
And Bruce was just mentioning over here, the difference between the warm lights of the theater and the stage lights is so dramatic that it, I don't know, toning it down in some way. You got the, I don't know.
Try to match the color temperature.
Yeah.
That's really hard, I mean, because
Yeah, because
that's kind of the reality of the situation, the stage lights are gonna be much different.
right.
maybe just bringing it down instead of matching the temperature is the way to go. You know, I was gonna say, I know you're trying to get the entire band, but I think the picture is the bassist and the pianist. I'd get rid of the drummer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I understand you're trying to get the band, and so that's problematic, but it's a fantastic photo of just those two, the interaction of those two.
Okay, I'll try that.
Tree on a wing, Kathy?
I was down in New Mexico, in Bernardo, and got these three together.
Like the symmetry.
Yeah, all the wings are in that similar position and the lighting is really good. And I like the background with the clouds and just enough blue back in there. That's
They're all synchronized. All the ones are down.
Are we seeing the full image?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little tight up top.
Nice color in the birds.
Yeah.
It was late in the afternoon. Sun was almost setting.
Tiger heron, Roger?
Another one from Costa Rica. The issue, of course, is that central, what do you call it? The branch coming right in front of him.
You might try just a tighter crop on just the front half of the bird. Looks like it's getting sharp.
Yeah, the bird, the eye and so forth, the bird is
So
really
you
sharp.
kind of go to the left of the branch and just kind of crop tight on the bird head and its chest.
Or just when you're doing your photo, just take a few shots here, move, take a few more shots, move, take a couple more shots. 'Cause I do the same thing. I see a nice bird, I just start taking pictures instead of stopping, looking around, moving a little bit.
But the details in the feathers, man, that's just,
Yeah.
just outstanding. It's just really.
What kind of bird is it?
Heron, what's the title of it?
Tiger?
Tiger heron.
Tiger heron.
I've never seen that bird.
Costa Rica.
Looks prehistoric.
Time don't run out on me. Keith?
This is another one that was inspired by a song. And this was actually shot as part of a competition here in Jackson for just that title, Inspired by Song. And this was inspired by Anne Murray's song, Time Don't Run Out on Me. It was photographed inside an old abandoned school, and the clock had fallen just down on the floor and shattered. And I almost walked by it, but something stopped me. I turned around, shot a couple images. This one is the one I like best of the two.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah.
What's the temperature and humidity accurate?
Temperature was very accurate. It was slightly cooler in the school, but outside I think it was over the 100-degree mark that day. So
What would it look like in black and white?
Yeah, that would be good in black and white. Too.
yeah, okay.
Try it. Okay. Very cool. Very nice.
Tree and shadows. Michael?
Yeah, so this was also last week. I made my way out to Hanksville and then I was going towards Capitol Reef. And as I was driving, I saw this tree and then the light was hitting the rocks in the background. So I pulled over and I tried to find a spot where I could isolate that tree and get from where I was parking, the branches were going up and into the sky. And I was trying to make sure that I could isolate it within the rock formation. And it was infrared, so that kind of caused a little bit more of that contrast also.
You have an actual infrared camera?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that's what this was.
I like it.
Yeah, very nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, you really,
Good composition.
yeah, the way you moved around so that the tree mimics the rock and you got it one on top of the other is really great.
And then I got way down low. I was trying to get as much of those branches separate from the lower part, which I couldn't get all of that. That's about as far as I could go. So they sort of, I don't have complete separation on a lot of those limbs, but that was about as good as I could do.
Yeah, but it's good layering. It's dark bottom, then the tree with the light background, and then the bright rock, and then the dark sky again. It's really nice.
And with the sky, that's part of what the infrared does. Is,
Yeah.
blue sky goes a little dark.
Like a red filter. Really nice.
I think you got
Is there something in it?
yep, that's funny right there.
The infrared and get a lot of the, even I go down to like F6 or whatever in that, and they still show up. So I'll do that.
Oh, good eye. I didn't even see.
Turret arch, Michael?
So this was also on that trip, also infrared. This was just one morning, and as I was walking along the path, I was staying on the path as you're supposed to, and was trying to really carefully figure out a way to make sure that that tree on the left didn't intersect the other things that are a little bit further to the left, or the turret arch that's over there. So I had some, clouds in the sky and that, which again, the infrared kind of treats those things a little bit different than just doing a normal colored image and then converting to black and white. So this is just one morning there, just a little bit after sunrise or whatever that way. I was walking through that spot.
That tree is so Halloween.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. I was gonna say, you might dodge a few of those, I don't know what, sage along the path, just leading towards the tree. I think if you lightened, like, it looks like you almost dodged the sage really close to the formation. But if you also did it close in, and you can't do it too much because you don't want to draw the eye out of the photo, obviously, but just having a secondary line of that street
contrast.
Something that is pointing towards the tree.
Oh, gotcha.
Leading line towards the tree.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's there. You just
right. It doesn't. Right. There's something there, but it doesn't. It's not really leading there.
You could enhance it.
Okay.
Here, when you're looking at. No, because there's the. Oh, yeah, there it says, yeah. Yeah, it's.
Waiting for spring.
That's mine, and once again, I'm just learning how to process them and trying different things, so. Anything will help.
So that's beautiful. That's good.
It's a great photo of the fox, but when you were there, if you could maybe move around so that that white snow, which has got the sun on it, wasn't the background, and maybe that dark tree was, I don't know if you could do that, but your eye obviously.
I probably could have done that, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Next time.
Or leave the fox over to a different area.
Yeah.
In a perfect world.
I would just use the subject tool, and then just bring up the shadows on the fox.
I did do a radial gradient on him.
He looks better on the monitor, on the computer.
Yeah, it's a little.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that.
He looks pretty good on the computer.
Yeah, if it's way just to brighten the eyes just a little bit, I guess.
Oh yeah, well, that's a lot better.
Yeah, we're gonna fire our monitor tester guy.
Yeah.
We have to readjust them. We've got they're a lot closer than what they were.
Yeah, no, it's better.
But there's still a little bit of fine tuning.
You know what, a cool little thing to play with. At first it kind of bothered me that the tree was kind of where the tree is. And as Bruce said, if you moved to the right or the left, you could, have the background as all tree or all snow or whatever. But there's this thing that you do in portrait photography where they call it checkerboard lighting, where you actually do flags on your light, and you have a background that's half dark and half light, and then where the person is, you have the opposite on the bottom where he's dark on the one side and light on the other. So if you just took a square crop right around his face with a little bit of the tree and darkened the face on the left-hand side so that it's actually like a checkerboard, the top right is dark and then on the fox, the bottom left is dark. It might be a fun photo just to screw with, because it looks like the light is actually coming in from the right-hand side. So it wouldn't be out of character to have a shadow on the left-hand side, or his right eye, camera left, to just do a small crop to have a.
Did you see the shadow right here, don't you?
Yeah,
On
so,
that side?
but because you just cut off the tree and, bright, dark and dark, bright, just the other, it's a fashion photography kind of a technique, but hardly any foxes usually have them in studio like that.
People used to wear fox stoles.
Yeah.
You could have fun there, like you did that.
Well, maybe I'll have to contact you for help.
Yeah, it'd be really fun to fashion photography fox.
Because you know what, I need a lot of help. I can learn so much.
Profile that was great. I mean, as far as you got that, the fox and it's looking at you, the eye contact, and
Yeah,
that's a great.
Water falling. Jeff?
Yeah, this is Vernal Falls in Yosemite. And I just got up close on this one. Anyone who's been there knows it's a large, powerful waterfall. I was there in April, so a lot of volume of water going through from the snow melt. But I noticed these diagonals on the rock behind the waterfall. So this is a very small section of the waterfall. But I like the kind of composition of the verticals of the water, obviously, and then the diagonals of the rock. Post processing, I didn't really do too much. I probably dodged some of the rock diagonals, but other than that, not too much.
Did you try to different shutter speeds for the water?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of photos of this. Some slow, some fast. This is a little bit faster, but this is the one I kind of like the best.
It's interesting.
I think it's pretty cool. I would be tempted to make the size of your water, the width of the water in the photograph the same width as the rock. And have just that, yeah, so it's like almost the same size.
50.
Yeah, like 50 would be. It would turn into like taller and skinnier, but if that's making it doesn't stand right.
All the textures, the dark versus the light is really great.
Yin and yang.
What's that you say, Bruce?
Yeah, we were out.
Stevie.
Same thing. We were taking some pictures out of this was at Barrett Hard Lake or not Barrett. And there was a bunch of birds in the trees, and this one just looked at me, and I just take pictures. And I got home and I went, "Oh," he was trying to figure out what I was doing. Obviously, I could try to do something with some of the sticks and twigs, but just kind of wondering if I have the crops too tight or too wide or stem silence. Not very.
Is there any way you can bring out any definition in the head, in the face?
Yeah, it's sharp, so I could probably, you mean lighten it up some more?
Something like that. Back here, I can't see any.
Can you zoom into the head? Because I can't see the.
It's yours. No, maybe not.
Again, I think it's a little darker up on this screen because I'm looking at Michael's screen and it's
Yeah,
much
it's a little
lighter. But I also would open up the eye a little bit more.
brighten it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the crop is good. I think you're right. You have a lot of branches, and I don't know how much work you can really do with that or want to do with that. For me, the harder part is, I think your time of day.
Yeah, it was midday.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think that's what hurts this more than some of the other ones.
Okay. All right.
Where are you looking at, Kathy?
This was down in Monte Vista last fall.
Nice.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the textures and that throughout the feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I keep looking at.
Yeah.
Color harmony is really pretty.
Yeah, it's nice in this beautiful. Have some of the yellows, the fall colors that are in this. Nice.
You might want to crop it a little more on the right and give it some more of that blue sky and get tighter on the yellow leaves. It doesn't. The lighter area just kind of pulls you away from the animal.
And the leaves are way yellower on the screen.
Yeah.
That's a good thought of.
If you get a chance, like I said, take a couple shots and then move around. See if you can get towards the front of him instead of getting his tail part.
Yeah, it was impossible that day.
It's hard to do, but like I said, just
take a few shots, move around, take a couple more shots.
Okay, last picture is zombie guitarist Bruce.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
This is the last carnival shot from last Saturday, and this is the real background. Kind of shows you how even with the fastest lenses we had, the backgrounds are kind of not pleasing. But and then he had these gloves on that had the little skeleton hands, so I used the highlight slider to highlight those a little bit more, so you will be a little more prominent.
I like the blurred background, so it just brings out the
Yeah,
guitarist.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah, when you say the background is being problematic, I think here it looks like you got the right
Well,
job
this,
within the field.
yeah, this was kind of the the least busy background kind of the day in terms of trying to eliminate some of the junk. And then there's like a sign behind him. I darkened that down. So
Right.
Well, next time you go, have Dave carry the big 8x10 backdrop.
well, I handed it to him and he just laid it down and left it there. He's a worthless assistant, so don't hire him.
Don't breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, the background shows he's performing.
Yeah.
You know, he's up on stage, the real world is behind him. I think.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's what it is. It's a street scene.
Yeah.
But that field is fantastic.
Now, was that a rubber mask he had on?
Yeah, he's got.
No, that was him.
No, that was his. Yeah, that's what he's got. He's in some sort of nuclear.
It was weird.
His name's brother.
This was before the parade. I mean, this before he put his costume on.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is keeping his attitude weird.
That's it, guys.